Doing this. Recording started. I'm always like watching it spin and going, and then I'm doing something weird when we begin. Welcome, Angela. Hello.
Hi, Amy. How are you doing?
Pretty
Good to
good.
be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Third Sunday poetry from the middle of the United States-ish toward the west a little, and in Brazil. Where are you again in Brazil? I mean, if you tell as much as you want to tell.
Oh, it's down from Floripa. The town is actually called Rio do Sul because the R's are actually pronounced like H's. So if you say Rio de Janeiro is what we always say, it's actually Rio de Janeiro, which means River of January. I found out.
Oh my
I
gosh.
live in River of South, and yeah.
I love that stuff. I love it. It's that when I had a college memory just then when you told that, because I had a friend, I had a homosexual friend that I'd known since like we were 12. And we were on the campus of the University of Missouri, and he was a Spanish major, but also took some Portuguese classes, and had a professor who was Portuguese and had a son. I mean, we were college age. This kid was, I don't know that he was still like not yet an adult. He might have been, but his name was Rafael. Like we would have said Raphael. And I was like, I wasn't after him. I was just fascinated by that language fact. Now,
yeah.
But anyway, yes. So that's a memory. And yeah, anything where you can tell me this is a Third Sunday poetry, by the way, if I didn't say it yet. So this is a poetry little live stream. I have to say that like I'll get turned on in church when they start saying things like, well, and back in this word in the Hebrew means, and I'm like, because it'll always be a little poem, it's never like it just means this in English, but here it means River of January,
Yeah.
What made them say that? Tell me more. I would like all
exactly. What's the story behind that?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the kind of things that we get drunk on, and occasionally the wine or the whiskey in my case. But I don't get that drunk, but
the sacramental whiskey.
Sacramental whiskey plus the vomit phobia keeps me in line, and the fear of laughing a lot in public. So I don't know why I fear that. It just seems undignified. Do I care? I used to. I don't know if I do now. So
yeah, it's beyond caring. We always have this impression we should care. Why? We're all doing it.
And yeah, and when you just said this impression, did you say we must care? Because in my mind I heard suppression. I'm like, yes, suppression, Angela. That's what I'm doing to myself.
We're having a whole nother hyperbole.
It all just that impression plus suppression plus how I was judging myself in that moment for being suppressive. It all just really, it unfolded as it should, and now my mind understands it better. So. Well, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I don't think I'm immune to that, but I have figured out in my life it seems like we're also worried about what everybody's thinking of us. We're not really paying attention to each other as much as we think we are.
Yeah. Although I will say that I've had moments in my life where I was sad about what was going on and thought, oh God, if nobody's looking at me, thank God, because they'll know and they'll wonder what I did to make God angry and this and that. And it's like, that was a lot right there. That was a lot of what my brain did. However, I would always find out later in like the 3 different times that I was going through that yes, people were kind of thinking not what did you do to piss God off, but oh, Amy's sad. It's like, oh God, and so anyways, what? This is life, and that's part of life, and it's part of you, and it kind of builds you into what you are, and what do you do with it? And we do our best, it's like you can't always make the beast beautiful, but that's what we try, I think.
Exactly.
Well, I just feel like in my current mood, it's going to be short and sweet. Angela and I had a wonderful time of just, gossiping, as it were, beforehand. What a great time to be alive, that we can be face to face and chat and talk and see each other when you are far, far away in a different hemisphere experiencing winter. Hey, is it winter? Tell me about winter in Brazil.
It is. And I will say, going with your short thing, yes, as I'm blinking sleepily because I overslept slight, and this is a little bit early for me. Not early, but it's 1 PM.
I was going to say you're 2 hours behind me. Yeah.
We're night owls. I'm not ashamed of that. I was up at 4 also while all of y'all were sleeping. So
I was sleeping. I was sleeping at Central Time 4, that's for sure. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, winter, they've got this festival here that lasts 2 months called Festa Junina, which means Festival of June. But it also goes into July, apparently. And everybody, everywhere has a party all the time. And it's the little girls wear these incredibly brightly colored dresses with like little aprons and all the fluff and sparkle and color that you could possibly pile into one garment. And they're gorgeous. And little girls up to, I think, almost teenage years. I've seen a girl as old as like maybe 11 wearing one, and they're so proud of them. All the little boys wear like these little vests with like ribbons and kites and whatnot, like applique on. All the grandmothers are who make these,
Oh.
and they compete with each other. They
Oh.
compete. So we went to a cloth shop for something completely different. And there were all these women in there, and some had their seamstresses with them because that's super common here to have a seamstress.
Oh.
And they were like picking out the fabrics, and because everything is kind of handmade here a lot. They don't have, well, they have laws to keep corporations out. You know, like Amazon can't come here. Walmart can't come to Brazil.
Oh. Sorry. That's the way we feel.
Yeah. Sorry. I was, not sad. Sorry, not sorry. But
agreed.
So then that's a big thing. And so we went to one, and it's pretty much like a harvest festival. They had candied apples, a bonfire, roasted marshmallows. They didn't know what s'mores were. So they were asking me, like, what are s'mores? These things that we hear about. So I was telling them, so that's probably going to be a new thing that we'll go to a thing and it'll be like, oh, we have these things called s'mores. They come from the U.S.
to Brazil, Angela. That is the best possible. Just once it catches on, just turn them on to my song, S'mores, first episode of Podcast in A Minor World, which I just released the 50th episode.
Oh my goodness. That is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. It's been very, very fun. It's like trawling through old songs I've written over the past many years, but then of course talking about, some springboard from the lyrics or some springboard from why I wrote it, whatever. But then always there's inevitably, well, I kind of want to talk about the Paul McCartney death hoax. I better write 3 songs about it first, and then it can do a podcast about it, and so so it has helped with creativity to keep that going too.
Well, I love your music. I am an unabashed fan of your music, and I need to catch these more. Usually I'm not an audio person, so I'm always like, podcast, what is that? How do you do that again? What's the newfangled clicky click? I need a video. I mean,
just like whenever you say RPG for the longest time, my mind Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but now I have enough RPG people in my orbit that I'm like, or I'm in their orbit. I'm in your orbit, others' orbit. I'm like, oh, I get it now. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The games.
Yeah. Made it. 6 people get together and make up a story together.
I love it.
Pretty much is it. And with dice.
Yeah. It's like, what is going to happen? What's going to happen? Oh my gosh. Listen to Goonies World podcast, because they just completed a 6-part series of this dragon story. I don't want to spoil that there's going to be a dragon, but that's all I'll say. And
that's awesome.
The characters are so funny. It was 6 episodes, and so I was like, I love them. Don't die, And so I'm not going to say what happened. No spoilers. So if you need a 6-part story that involves a dragon and some travel and some hilarious voices, Goonies.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's what's fun about it too, is you just never know, because whatever is going to happen is based on the reactions of the people playing, as well as the DM. We just ran into a dragon, which you would think would be quite a terrible incident, but the dragon that we were sent to kill was just like, you know what? I'm basically going to pay you guys off. Take the blue trunk, and then say that you killed me, or that I left.
Oh,
and we're all cool, and we're like, yeah, okay, because we don't want to kill you. And we don't want to die. We just want some money. We'll take this. And then I found 2 dragon scales. So I was like, win-win. See, people, peace and love is the solution.
This dragon just wanted to disappear and just be left in peace. Yeah. And you can spread the word. We can. So what? Okay, quickly on this poetic note, dragon scales. Tell me what those do for you.
Well, I wanted to make pasties, like a little bra. So I may
Yeah.
still do that, but I just sold one because they're worth 500 gold. So,
Mhm.
and I only need one because I am a witch in the campaign, which is funny because I really resisted playing that because
Yeah.
it felt too accusational to myself.
Oh,
But I
no.
am,
No, this was a story.
mm, yeah,
No, no.
it is something that, like, in my past, I think we've talked about this. I have been accused of that
Right,
many times,
right.
and now I probably am more that than ever. And so it was like, okay, well, I will actually come to face with that a little bit and role play that. So that's why, and I need 5 dragon scales from 5 different dragons to do something. Um, but like, I'm into it. I'm all over the like, well, let's divine what might happen. Ooh, can I have some hair of that? That's me in real life. It is a little bit creepy sometimes, but if you're special in any way, I might be like, can I have a lock of your hair? Can I have your fingernail clippings? Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to do anything with them.
Just needs a little bit of, mojo.
Usually it is like, oh, there's a full moon and the snow fell. And so I'm going to go gather I think I told you about my special water. I gathered
Yes.
the snow underneath this one oak tree under the
Mhm.
full moon, first snowfall of the season, which also happened to be New Year's. And then I melted it down and then blessed it and did all those other things to it. So yeah, so yes, I am that freaky person.
Hey, first of all, these things, the full moon, the snowfall, people make moon tea under the moon. This is
Yeah,
not nothing. This is there.
yeah,
This is part of our world and it's there for a reason.
yeah.
And secondly, that's what I love about, like, the more I learn about the role-playing games is that, man, you could just have characters of all freaking kinds and then like magical ones, so
Hmm.
like that's just gonna make it more exciting. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think the reason people get attracted to it,
Mhm.
and I'm not like a huge role player, but we talked about, the society and all the rules and all that stuff that we
Mhm.
have to go through and the expectations. And when you're role playing, you actually can be the person that you are inside,
Yes.
more,
And it'll
which,
probably help, you
mhm,
know, the
yeah,
story at least, the the situation you're in probably in some way.
mhm,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
just
And I go back on that a little bit though, because it doesn't mean you're that person.
no.
Because I tend to, like, as we said, I tend to be very mean when I role play.
Mhm. No, you're not that person.
My
You're
hobby is sealing people inside houses and burning them. I mean, that's the aspirations I want to do at some point.
That's the
And
whole Edgar Allan
role play.
Poe criminal
Yeah.
intent. Yeah,
That just seems like a
sublimation.
dramatic way to go. Like,
Yeah, it makes the story better, and story, okay?
mhm,
So, yeah, I would be
yeah.
there
I would
listening
never
to the
do that in real
corner
life, though.
with my moon tea going, "Yeah, do it, Angela." So that's great. Something. Hello. Alright.
Anyways.
But yeah, yeah. So no, that sounds like so much fun. I just yeah, I love it. That's a world that is opening up to me. So very
Mm,
cool. Very cool. I never knew what it was before. I didn't realize it was, this is the point. Stories affected by dice or cards and then the
mm,
decisions that they
mhm.
make and the characters that they've created, and I'm just like, wow, just I'm gonna sit here and listen to this story as it unfolds.
Yeah, it is very cool. And podcasting is the way that we can communicate that story.
Yeah,
And so I am
exactly.
connecting to that now. Like, oh, I can listen to Amy play her music anytime, really.
See, you could, because I've got 50 episodes, but that is what I love about the podcast that I get attached to is like, oh, thank God it's Thursday. That one's gonna be out. Monday, that one's gonna be out.
Hmm.
And so it's like, I needed a lifeline, a
Yeah.
reassurance. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, cool. Well, that is our segment on role-playing games and podcasting on this poetry live stream. I think we're gonna draw an audience here. I'm gonna have to make some hashtags and everybody will know
Hmm.
they can find. But do you have a poem that you would like to
I
read?
do. I do. I have been kind of sniffing around, like trying to find some stuff in
Yeah.
my sleepy, just woken up kind of way. And so, yeah, I have a few. I'm going to read a flarf.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
yay.
been talking about flarf a lot since the whole AI thing.
Yes.
And flarf, for anybody who doesn't know, I think flarf was like really popular, but I think it kind of fell off.
Mm-hmm.
But it's where you take a search engine, a search phrase in your
Right.
search engine like Google, and then you write a poem based on the headlines that come up.
Ah,
It's
I've
a
done it
type
with
of
just like a list of search histories or a
mhm,
list of subjects and emails, something to
mhm,
do with technology and the lists that
mhm.
we generate with
Yeah,
over time or what comes up. Yeah, totally.
yeah, and it's a type of found poem because
Yes,
you're finding the poem in this technology.
right.
And so
Mhm.
this one, I used Google, and it's called "What is a Human?" And that was the search engine. I mean, the search thing that I put in there.
Yeah.
So, and I'm super, super alert, and yeah, I got it this morning.
You got
I'm
it.
not blinking sleepily as I try to find this poem.
And I'm here. Yeah.
I,
Alert, ready.
and it's very simple. It's Homo sapiens, a culture bearing primate, the genus Homo. Noun, a human being. Adjective, relating to persons, of people, the most abundant, widespread species of primates. Human means someone related to or associated with humanity, and a superior characteristic having vertical foreheads, a bipedal with ability to use words and make decisions. It's a question all priests, poets, politicians, and toddlers have asked. What is a human? Humans may dislike robots, archaic species.
Archaic
Yeah,
species.
and that literally was all in the search engines. Not a single one of that. I think I did add toddler because I thought that
Okay.
would be funny, but I think maybe not. I can't remember, but all of that came from the search engine.
Oh, wow. You found the poetry in it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Very.
Yeah, so I don't think I've ever done another one, but I'll say like I thought Flarf was cool. I
I
think
thought
it
Flarf was fun.
yeah, I should do more. I didn't think about using like head like subjects from your email. That would be
Mhm.
interesting because
Yeah.
email is a constant bane of my life.
Ah, yes. So then you've got that. You've got that to
Mhm.
work with. And I always love doing the search, like the search history, because I
Mm,
forget what I've been doing. Because I think we're always charging forward and doing, and
mm.
I got to go do this and stuff. And so I love to go back and see because it's always funny. It looks so funny as a search history because over the years, elder folks like Angela and myself remember the earliest days of searching on the internet. And so we all came to how we search and how we phrase it. And do we leave out the and do we leave out of and all these things that just like how do you say it's succinct, but you want every little part of it. So sometimes they come out real weird and it's something to look back on. And hey, this last week, because we search all the time, it's not gonna be more than a few days probably, but this is what came up. And so yeah, I love
Mhm.
that. It's
That's
really
awesome.
a moment in time kind of. And I learned about it from the poet's glossary by Edward Hirsch, which is upside down on my shelf over there. It's been like that for a couple of weeks, and I'm like, I'm over here. I should turn that over, but I haven't. I should look at it and find more forms because
That is funny.
I'm not always given to forms because I like to kind of barf out whatever I'm experiencing
Mhm.
emotionally. But man, getting in there with forms sometimes is such a pleasure.
That is cool.
It really is so much fun.
Yes, I have my copy behind me, very close. I
Yes.
brought that copy into the university here, and they love it. They just find it so amazing that there's that many. And I say not even that many. Like I'm sure he doesn't. That's not all of them.
Yeah. But he worked
But
on
yeah.
that because I checked out a book from the library a while back called a couple months ago called something like forms. It was about forms. It was in the title, a book
Mhm.
of forms, I think is what it was called. And it was just about half the size or less than that book. And I just, in the end, I never even looked at it. I was like, I
Mhm.
don't think I need it. I've got Hirsch over there. Edward Hirsch, if you
Edward
need.
Hirsch, we salute you.
We love a poet's glossary. Quickly, I will go ahead and say that we are recording this beforehand
Mm.
because, well, you've got RPGs and I've got a shift at the library on Sunday, and so I apologize to those who sometimes send in poems. We kind of, I have this part-time job now, you guys. You just don't know how
So
that
sorry,
interferes with
Amy.
my poetry. Actually, it's very helpful to my poetry because of databases and stuff. However, I tend to do week by week because I have a weird schedule and I never know what's happening, and so it's always kind of like, oh, this week is that, and I've got to and I haven't announced it. So what I'm going to start doing is
Mhm.
calling. If you want to send in poetry for us to read, I'm going to start calling for it a month in advance. So if you want
Mhm.
us to read one of yours in July, let us know. Um, how do you let us know? Okay, just go to my Instagram, which is at Hipness_and_outrage. I can put that in the comments, and I can do that afterwards. So, and then just send it to me, and we'll figure it out from there. But I'll go ahead and read one.
Yeah, definitely.
Because so Angela and I probably have a poem or two each, and then it may be short and sweet. Well, we've managed to suck 20 minutes out of it already because we're good, skilled talkers.
We are. We're demonstrating.
We are. Communication. So I typed this in a really small font. So let's see how it goes. All right, passionate poem coming at you. Bright star, audacious, your singing opals augment my powers, surging my strength as the usual cartwheels into chaos and storm. Bright star, blaze through, soul glue. The end. And that is that's from the upcoming At Some Point collection. I don't know when. I don't know when it's done. You know how it is when you're making a collection.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna be called in the song Your Eyes Were Green. So
I love it.
But anyway, yeah, so that's one that I wrote and just
as usual, I always love, I mean, this is why I love you so much. I mean, your poetry and you, I love you because we're friends, but I love your poetry. I could love a person and not their poetry, or vice versa. Okay. But I love both of you. And that is because of all the live passion, just raw flowing from your poetry. And I just think that is amazing. I think the world should revolve around your poetry.
Oh, thank you. Were we talking about? I can't remember if we were talking about that.
We were.
Was talking about.
I think we're talking about off.
As a small child, when my father very gently said, "But the world doesn't revolve around you," and the shame I felt when I realized that that's what I was giving off, and it made me, in life after that, always have a tug of war of as to whether I should ask for something that I felt like I wanted or needed, because am I being selfish? Am I? And my dad wasn't being harsh, and he didn't harp on that. He didn't have to. I figured it out. And that's a parent's job, I think, is to. I had a friend named Suzanne in Colombia who said when her kid was 3 or 4, she was just having so much trouble with him because the universe was revolving around him, apparently. And she was like, I finally just yelled at him. I was like, it is my job to make sure that you don't grow up to be an asshole. And I'm like, you know what? That kind of is your job as a parent, you know?
That is funny.
I loved that. And I kept that because my kid was 3 years younger than hers. And so I was like, I'm going to keep that exact phrase in mind and parent to it, because you don't want your kid to be the problem everywhere they go, as adults, as kids.
Excuse me.
So yeah,
as long as they grow up in kindness, you know, that's it.
Yeah, no, my folks were very kind about it, but they weren't gonna let me grow up to be an asshole. So hopefully, no, they didn't. I'm very careful not to be. You know, I try, and then I think it becomes a habit, and then you're kind of like freaked out by other people when they're, when they let themselves. So anyway, I think it's a line we walk. You don't want to get trampled, etc. So life is a lot of adjustments. Yeah.
It's like a fine balance, because in a way we are the center of the universe. Ours.
Yeah.
I mean, just by default of this is our POV, you know, it has to be. But realizing that there's a lot of centers of the universes and we're all colliding. And so we have to be conscious of the other centers of the universe.
And not make it hard. Are you making it harder? You know, can you avoid that? I mean, sometimes you have to, you know, sometimes you have to avoid certain things or call things out, or, you know, react or act against something that's problematic. But at the same time, in general, I think most people are just trying to make it, you know, just trying to live. And so like, don't interfere with that in an ugly way. Interfere with that in a nice way.
Yeah. Kill with kindness. Love can be a weapon, you know.
Right. Yeah. And also there's just a lot of great, beautiful crap out there that, you know, we can do. So.
Like poetry.
Yes. Poetry.
And if you get that and you can't handle it, put it in a poem.
Right. I've always done that, or songs, you know, and it's like, because I would be like sobbing on the floor of the closet, just because life is that way sometimes. This was years ago. And being like, God, that display I just made that was horrible, Make it something beautiful. And then this song comes. It's like, Mama's having
Yeah.
a bad day, scatter and fly. All this
Yeah.
stuff. That's rockabilly, and it's like, that is tragic, but a great song. Thank you, Lord. So
And authentic because I lived through it.
I did. It was a human experience, which is what we're all wrangling, every minute in
Exactly.
some way or another. Yeah. Right. Do you have another?
I do.
Woo! Goody.
I'm looking at all of these. Okay, I'll do. All right, I have something to confess. I once wrote a poem and submitted it because of the title of the magazine. And that was all. They didn't pay, and I was like, I don't care. I just want to be able to say I got published by this title. So if this is offensive to anybody, I apologize in advance. It was first published in Pussy Magic.
Well, I love it.
and it's a feminist witch magazine, as far as I know, like a feminist pagan magazine.
Right.
Okay. And I'll confess, I was just totally wanting the name.
Just to put that on your list of publications.
Yeah. One of my goals in life is to actually do my bibliography properly, so it's all and it's really just because I want to put Pussy Magic down. Yes, I was published in Pussy Magic. But I won't keep like banding that around because I'm sure somebody listening is like, every time I say it is like, whoo.
It's the word magic, though. It's the wordgasm. I'm sorry, they probably won't like that word either. Wordgasm. I've wordgasm and donutgasm in addition to the original word, but it's like, it is. I mean, the power of those two words together drew you right in. I'm enchanted. Okay.
Yeah, and it is the poem's not, but it is like an offensive, but it's not. It's just words.
Yeah.
So that's why I was so attracted. But also, this is being pre-recorded. So if you are offended, you need a moment to recover. Feel free to hit pause, and the donutgasms and the Pussy Magic will be waiting for you when you come back.
We'll be here. We're not going anywhere, sweetheart. Exactly. All right.
All right. This was called Neglected Altars, and I will say, I really didn't work that hard on this, but it was a rush job because their deadline was closing, and I really, really wanted to get in there. Right. No pun intended.
Let's take a moment. Okay. No. You're good. You're good. Got it.
Okay. All right. Neglected altars. It's a haiku chain. I have neglected my altar. The offerings have gone stale and dry. The incense lies thick, expired dust covering the cups and brass bowl. And I wonder why the milk sours. Luck has passed to other coffers. I must make amends. I dust the shelf, pour fresh rum, and apologize. The blessings return as always. We only need to ask to receive.
See, that is beautiful. I was thinking how you were saying, well, it was a rush job and diddly do, but then you said the word neglected altars. And I was like, sometimes if you get two words that are so much in those two words, it will just fall into what it's supposed to be. And so that is wonderful. And it made me think also, I want to be one of those spirits that's like, and then I want the rum that somebody's leaving, if you're going to be a ghost, and there might as well be rum, Ooh, I loved it. It.
If you come to Brazil, Amy, they make their own rum called cachaça. Yeah, I always have to make sure. Am I repeating? Because they also have churrasco, which is a barbecue.
Oh,
cachaça
you can have them together or one.
You do. Cachaças are often at churrascos, and I'm probably saying that wrong, but
so many great words, no matter what,
Yeah.
Even if that's not exactly right.
Yeah, it is. It is cool though. You can go to the Mountain Distillery, where they make it, and you can buy it for $2 a bottle USD. And while you're there, you can try there's probably 30 different flavors, and you just take shots of all of them until you decide what you want, and then you go back.
I'm laughing on the floor at this point after 10.
I want to try that one again. Okay, 2 more of that one. And then you don't get drunk because you're driving back down this little narrow mountain road. So it's like
I'm so scared of narrow mountain roads. I need to be I'm not driving though. Somebody else do the driving. I'll just sit in the back and laugh. Hopefully. Yeah.
I drank all the shots. Okay, I don't die.
That's right. I took my ginger beforehand. I'm not going to barf on these winding roads. But I am
Yeah.
gonna laugh and make it hard to drive. I'll
I
laugh.
can't remember why, but you came up in conversation the other day, and I just said something. I don't know. We were talking about vomiting, and I said it's a good thing Amy, my friend, isn't here because she would not like this or something like that. And
I can do the conversations. It's
yeah,
the and I won't go into it because I will prove that I can do the conversations. I'll try not to like do that right now. I mean, in the sense that I can like, oh man, yeah, let's just get real descriptive. No, but the point is, what I hate about it is it's usually sudden. It's a terrible smell. It's a terrible sound. It's a terrible sight. And well, of course, the person doing it is tasting it. That's wretched, but it's just like it's every single sense just
assailed,
throttled in a freaking like all in this instant where like it's like you had 4 children, right? I had one, but there were just I'd be holding him at church, getting ready to go, and then it's just on you, and and so I'm like, ah! Trying to be cool, and that's okay,
no problem.
and he was I don't chain react, I freaking panic. I'm just like, I gotta run, but you can't when it's your child, which was good for me. And that was a goal when I was a mother. But it's like the couple of times that he threw up on me, like out in public when he was little. And it's like, he's just, oh God, he was the perfect child for me because he's just like, and I'm like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And he's like, it's okay.
You're right.
Now. And I'm like, but I'm just always afraid because Jason, one time I could tell so many stories. We all could. I won't. But there we go. Not about barf. Thank you, everyone, for putting up with my live stream therapy because I'm not going to therapy about this because you know why? What if they do exposure therapy? I will tell you that life has exposed me enough and will continue to do so as long as I am around humans or cats. Well, cat morph doesn't bother me. There's hardly any of it, but
yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Abracadabra, as Marge Simpson would say. So, okay, this is one. I have another ongoing collection of poems I'm working on. It's called Vandal, and this is from that. Smiling on our marigolds, shaming the summer sun and monarch fire, bringing, as the Victorians said, their passion, creativity, sometimes grief, but not this time. Expectations irrational, if perfect. The petunias tumble their velvet petals, our guitars chime. We are the poets in the bathtub with fewer bones on display, our mature bellies filled with celesta melody and euphoria.
Wow. That is such a glorious affirmation to life as we are.
As we are. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And thank you for listening, everyone, and Angela. So yeah, those are the 2 I brought. I only brought 2. So
I had 3, but I'm okay with 2.
Either way. Hey, we got in a solid half hour there. If you want to close this out, I'm here for it. So let us know if you'd like to close us out with a poem or
well, you mean me. You know what? This is me on 1 cup of coffee. I actually was like, who is she talking to?
Well, anybody out there who wants to close us out on a poem?
Yeah, I had gone into we're pre-recording this, so I wonder what that means. Oh, wait, you mean me.
And here's my confession as confessional poet. If this were live and people were chatting in, it is pretty easy to see, but I feel like I'd be like, what? But yeah, like, would we read it? I mean, yeah, that would be interesting. That'd be an interesting way to do in the future. Yeah. If we ever figure that out, how to pre-record with people chatting in.
Yeah, well, we actually can because I've done this. If you go back when it's playing and you just show up and chat, I've done that. Like when the guest couldn't be there at that time,
right?
But I could, then I would be in chat sometimes. I always try to come back in then and do that.
So. Yes, and I have done that too. The only thing that we can't do is then on screen react to it and
exactly. Yep. Yeah, so it's just a chat thing.
Right.
But I will say you can leave that poem right now. And Amy at the library doing the work of the literary gods will sense it. She'll be like, oh, I sense this. And I'll be rolling and playing RPG, probably as an evil witch, and I'll be like, oh, I sense poetry happening somewhere in our
Something in the poetry
sphere.
continuum just
Yeah.
buzzed. Yeah, exactly. I'm for
So,
that. Dude,
yeah.
I'm in there. I will see if we sense. I don't know. I feel like there's so much poetry
Yeah.
that just we're absorbing all the time. I love it.
Yeah. So somebody leave us a poem in chat. I'm going to say
Mhm.
that. We'll see if we sense it, and then we'll let you know next month.
We want that moment. Yeah, exactly. I want to be at the desk, giving somebody a library card going, wait, stand by.
Poetry is happening.
Yes.
We should just do that anyways. Wait, my poetry sensors are going off, Batman.
Oh,
It's happening.
and then you try not to look like you're fighting the orgasm,
Oh, poetry.
Am I shimmering right now? That's a lyric from a song from my podcast. I think it's called Shimmering. I don't know. Go find it. Podcast in A minor. Episode Shimmering.
I am gonna go find this.
I think it was National Poetry Month. It was April. In April, I did like poems I'd written or songs I'd written from poems, and then songs about mad poets and stuff. So, and then the one about just poetry and shimmering right now. So, yeah. So that's on topic. Poetry. All right, cool.
I love it. I love it. All right.
Got one?
Yeah, all right. I will read this last one.
Okay.
And close us out.
Yeah.
And classic me, I think it is a little bit of on the down, as I do.
Yeah.
And of course it's called Divine Purpose. So I feel like a theme with all my accidental, like, oh, quick, open poetry. I have to find poetry.
It finds a way.
It does. So the theme has been, divinity, I guess.
Yes.
So, divine purpose. He hangs in the sky, disappointment, regret, vaporous exhales of luminous green, and serpentine violet obstructing the stars. The world egg he guards, the final act of his love, his lover's last wish. Nestled in the stars and swaddled in nebula, warmed by the sun flares, beneath the ocean's amniotic lava flows, nourishing his whelp. His eye fixated as he spins in retrograde, in observation. He waits for the day the earth crust will burst apart and release his sun. Nothing will be left, now having served its purpose. Gaia dies at birth. So, this direction of the world.
Birth. That's right.
Yeah, birth is pretty destructive.
Yeah. I had a great time. But that's birthing. But that was just me being weird. My body being weird. Some people, I don't mean to harp on orgasms. I'm sorry. But some people experience birth as that. And so as I was leading up to my one birth, I was like, why not me? Why not?
Am I going to do that?
And I did not. However, just knowing that was a possibility and all the hippie stuff I'd read leading up to it was just like, wow, I wasn't afraid. And I mean, it was a labor. It was, and then pushing was 9 pounds, 12 ounces. And, and that's all right. So, hey man, it's a universal experience, and so to kind of be a part of that was, I mean, gosh, down the ages was pretty great. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're going to give birth, come talk to me. I had a great time. I was like the opposite voice when I worked at WIC, and the women would come in and this is what happens if you're a woman. I don't know if this happened to you. This happened to me and a lot of people I knew. Once you get pregnant, people can't wait to tell you their war stories of how horrible pregnancy is and how horrible it is to give birth and how horrible it is to breastfeed. And I loved all three. Yeah. So like,
and how horrible the children are later. Right. You always get that with that. Then you've got these children.
What are you doing? Why, God? I wanted if I'd had a lot of children, I would have run away the first time there was more than one of them to barf, because then I'd just be waiting for the other one to get it. And then it would be like, Clyde would do the thing where I'd be like, I'd get myself all cool with it. Okay, he's throwing up. He'll be done by tomorrow. Well, he would do the thing where he would throw up and he was fine. And then the next day he would throw up again, and he'd do it for 5 days. And I was like, oh, well, Lord, okay.
This is the way it is, I see.
Here we are. I need some dope. Wasn't legal then. So, but anyway, made it. came out on the other side. So
Yeah, a stronger person.
that's right.
More barf proof.
Yeah, it was my kid. The main thing was I had a lot of dreams about failing people who were vomiting from about the age of babysitting to motherhood. And the first time my kid threw up and I handled it, I just stopped dreaming that stuff.
Oh, that is
Moved on to
hilarious.
werewolf dreams.
Well, speaking of dreams,
Yeah.
you know, when I told you I had that conversation and I've been trying to remember, why was I talking about Amy and
Oh,
Barf?
right.
It was a dream. I just, like, I remembered halfway through, oh, no, I dreamed that. That conversation never happened. So I'm dreaming about you and Barf now, Amy.
Aw, so you've taken up the dreams that I used to have for decades, mind you.
That's so funny. It's imprinted. It was such big dreams. It had to go somewhere. So
I love that. I dreamed about so like in the year 2000 and 2001, I was a nanny in North Salem, New York, and there were 3 little children, a 3-year-old girl, a 7-year-old girl, and an 11-year-old boy. And the other night, I dreamed so intensely about the 3-year-old girl. And I don't remember what I dreamed about her. She was just there. And I just had such an impression of having dreamed about her that I was like, what's going on with her? I wanted it to be mystical in a way, but in a good way. I don't know, man. I don't know. So,
yeah.
She's what? Oh my gosh. 26 now. Oh Lord, help that little girl. I don't know what she's 26. Well, still.
Yeah.
To me, that's a little girl. So.
Yeah. Well, and who knows? I really do feel like we're all connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so probably something is happening.
Maybe.
You know, maybe as simple as she's thinking about you and you're thinking about her at the same time. It's just like,
yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, she'd go, Amy, you forgot to. We'd be driving. I go pick her up at preschool. Uh-oh, Amy, you forgot to pick me up from school. The funniest thing she'd do is go, uh-oh, Amy, you got in the wrong car. And I'd be like, oh, how do they have my CD that I was listening? We had like such fun. And the funniest thing that she would do was I'd be like, hey, why don't you go to the bathroom before we go? Oh, I don't have to. Why don't you go try? You were right, Amy. I did have to go. I was a genius because I knew.
How did you know?
Oh, the best part is that this was New York. Okay, 3 children. She's the littlest. They all pronounce the word orange, except the little one. Because she was with me all day. And I said orange. And so she took on my Midwestern accent.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
orange.
Yeah, orange. Carrots. How come we're having carrots? This little 7-year-old.
They're orange. Orange carrots.
And I'd be like, hang on, say that one more time because I just want to hear it again.
Yeah. I'm putting this aside in my linguistic collection.
Orange. Yeah, it was great. It's great. All right, world. Thank you for hanging with us for 42 minutes and 59 seconds as we do our thing and read our poetry and share. Thank you, Angela, for being here and sharing your poems. It was delightful.
Thank you for setting all this up. And you're a wonderful thing to wake up to. So thank you for putting up with my blinky, well, I don't have any coffee and I can't remember the name of any poems ever.
Get bright, girl. No, you're great. I knew you'd perk up. We have to gossip beforehand. Otherwise we just keep talking, and so we did our thing and Angela perked right up and brought the poetry and was a wonderful, wonderful person to do some poetry with and telling us about winter in Brazil and all of their like life adoring just actions and partying and attitude. They love poets there. I'm just so freaking into that. That is so great. So I love hearing everything you have to tell.
Yeah, it is very cool. I am very, I'm going to say in the US, we have a lot of good things, but we could really learn from the Brazilians about that whole love of life concept. You live to enjoy. They love reading here because it's enjoyable. And I know in the US, we're like doing the super short reads now because I want to read something because it's on my list to be like more literate, but I don't have time. So I'm going to do these 5-minute quick reads that are now trending on Amazon.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. It's like a 15-minute story or something. If you can, it's called lunchtime reads, I think they're called.
Oh,
and it's designed to,
I once wrote a book called, and I just printed it. I didn't publish it. It was called Smoke Break Love Stories. And it was kind of like that.
Yeah.
But it's just
Super
stories I wanted to
fast.
write. But yeah, everything's about a list of stuff that you got to accomplish. And I love that they're just like, hey, man, we only go around once. Let's really experience it. I think that's
Yeah. So super good lessons for me, Miss Checklist over here.
Yeah, you're living in the land of the big pink tarantulas. I mean, how can you not just be in tune with all that's gorgeous, you know?
I will say a big goal of my day has centered around the sun setting over the mountain outside my office window. So it becomes like this thing now of like, oh, it's getting dark. I must go to my office window and open the window because all the windows open up with no screens.
Yeah.
And just look at the mountain and watch the sunset. And Venus always pops out brilliantly. The stars are super close and huge, and they're the Southern Hemisphere stars. So it's the Southern Cross and a whole nother bunch of constellations. And that is the defining factor of my day now.
Yes. That, you know, when I lived in Columbia, Missouri, I had this kitchen sink, right? And then across it was like bar thing behind the kitchen sink, dining room, window, and to like our deck. And there was just, they had the most glorious sunsets. When my song in an upcoming episode of the podcast, if the song has glorious sunset in it, that was the sunset. Because, and I would just like, my day would be like, that's coming. Stuff can suck, and that's coming. I'm going to see the pink sky.
Yeah. Stop everything. Watch the gold for a moment.
This gift.
It's past. Now move on.
Right. This gift that's going to come at the end of every day. God, what a wonderful freaking... That to me, I experience that as the love of God. I know not everybody else does, and that's okay. I'm just saying that is what like pours out of my mouth when I think about that. I'm just like, that's just a gift that we can have. Just hang on, because sunsets, you know, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
this
that's
beautiful
so
big scary night, you know.
yeah, exactly.
And the sunrise. We have a good sunrise here out, and I'm pointing at the backyard. They put in a lot of trees that weren't there when I was a kid, and a couple of buildings, but still, you can see that pink blazing in through the trees.
That's awesome.
All right, world. We love you. Write a poem. I don't know. That was my inspirational word.
Poetry.
That's
Go watch a sunset and write a poem.
That's the word, hummingbird. And that rhymed. Okay, on that rhyme, let us depart. Thank you for joining us. Again, I will officially end the recording, and we'll see you next time.